So you've unlocked Alliance War. How does it work? And what can you do to make sure you get the most out of this game mode? This is the matchmaking timer, during which you can make adjustments to your Alliance War roster. While it's active, it's considered to be peacetime. Hence, when the countdown concludes, that will start the beginning of your next Alliance War. Clicking on that tab should bring you here. What we have in the lower right-hand corner is the war schedule for your alliance. There are 4 different schedules, and just like time zones, they're called war zones. And that way people in various parts of the planet can still compete in this game mode at a time convenient for them. Notice the League Info button on the left-hand side. This is the League information screen. The league you're in determines the kind of rewards you get at the conclusion of each of your alliance wars. This alliance is in the Gold League, tier number 3, as noted by the gold that's highlighted at the bottom. Take note of that blue band in the middle that says demotion, current, and promotion. So currently, this alliance has 968 trophies. As you win or lose alliance wars, you will gain or lose trophies. If you hit that next benchmark or fall to the previous one, that's how you change leagues in Alliance War. These are the rewards that I will receive at Gold 3 when I participate in Alliance War. For each opposing character I knock out, I get 30 Alliance War credits. At the conclusion of the war, you get some amount of Alliance War credits, Elite War credits, ISO 8 material, and gold. An Alliance War season lasts 2 weeks. At the conclusion of that time, you get paid out according to the rank that you achieved during that season. Here we have the war season countdown timer and the points that your alliance has achieved thus far. Those points will be compared to everybody else who played the game mode, and you will receive a reward based on your alliance's placement percentage. The game's matchmaking system is trying to achieve a 50% win rate for your alliance. Its goal over the course of the war season is to find 6 different matchups for you. It tries to find 2 opponents that are evenly matched with your alliance's ability, 2 opponents who are stronger than your alliance and are expected to defeat you, and 2 alliances where you should have the upper hand and should easily be able to gain victory. Notice, you should always win more trophies than you lose. So as long as you're winning half of your Alliance War matchups, you'll always make progress in advancing toward the next reward tier, the next league. So with those items in mind, what's going to happen is you're going to start in the bronze tier and work your way up from left to right. You'll go from bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and finally to diamond, as long as you're able to rack up wins at least half the time. Otherwise, you'll drop down to the previous tier. When the Alliance War first starts, it's going to bring you to the war preparation screen. Here you're reminded you can acquire defense boost and war energy. You can find those items in the Blitz store. Initially, as a new player, I wouldn't bother with either of them because you need your Blitz credits to buy characters. But once you find yourself having a surplus of Blitz credits, then they begin to become more important. You start the war with 4 war energy. How much you have is represented by that red lightning bolt in the upper right-hand corner. And as you can see, I'm all out. When that happens, you got a couple of choices. You can wait for the next one to regenerate. That'll be about in 3.5 hours. Or you can purchase more with that Blitz currency. As with everything else in this game, when you buy energy refreshes, the cost continues to rise with each purchase. As a result, you can only really buy 3 additional attacks. Again, early game players, don't worry about this. You have to keep your currency, but as you progress, it becomes crucial. Best case scenario between regeneration and purchases is a maximum of 14 attacks. In the left-hand corner during the course of the war, you have the boost button. So that other blue currency was the defense boost. When you go to attack a room and you see that it has green dots, that means that there's defenders in there. When those dots are yellow, that means that those rooms have been boosted. As you move in to attack those rooms, you can see now that they have gold borders, again indicating that they've been boosted. In the upper right hand corner of that room, you see that there's the minor deflect icon to indicate that. As you go into the match, you notice that characters will spawn with that minor deflect. It gives you an automatic block chance and reduces your damage accordingly. This slide is courtesy of GamingFans.com. It helps us to see what happens as you advance in the war. As you knock out the teams that are represented by those green dots, you clear out one whole side, or in other words, that's going to be one opposing alliance member. That will give you access to the next room. As you continue to defeat opponents, you'll be able to descend further and further into your opposing alliance's helicarrier. If you defeat both of the teams in the room, you'll be able to move in any direction, left, right, up, or down. As you can see from the picture here, we were able to come down from the room on the far left. We beat both of the enemies, and now we have the option to go down as normal or to the right. See, we're able to get to that middle area without attacking the flight deck above it. The war ends when the timer runs out or someone has destroyed the entirety of the opposing alliance's rooms. When that happens, you achieve a max score of 2,500 points. The first alliance to do this wins. This is typically known as a full clear. If neither alliance is able to accomplish this before time runs out, whoever has the highest score wins. If your characters have Isotope 8 Tier 1, Level 4, so that's the isotope green, those characters will be considered to be war ready and will have a bonus on attacking the hangar or defending the cargo bay. It's a small point, but it can affect you as you move into the mid-game and higher, so it merits consideration. You can filter your roster by war ready to see which characters you have that qualify. Just for clarity, if we look at the hangar, it says plus 10% to primary stats to all attacking war ready allies. Cargo bay will have similar wording. Let's talk Alliance War offense. If there's any question in your mind as to whether you should be working on offense or defense, the answer is 100% offense. It's how you score points for your alliance. It's how you get resources to power up. Offense, offense, offense. In Alliance War, you don't have to use a full team of 5 to attack. You could use as little as 1 member if you think they can get the job done. In this case, we got Sharon Carter, and we see her team power is 18,000. She's going to go up against the default shield minion team defense. This is a strategy that you can use when you're just starting and don't have many characters to choose from. As you can see, she can hold her own and she's easily able to knock out the opposing members. Now you might think the opponent is being foolish by not putting anything on defense, but they're doing the right thing. You want to use all your roster for offense to get points, because that's what's going to win. Win and get you into higher tiers and get you into more rewards. Just like in real life, the people that work the hardest, the people that are the most active, the ones that have the most participation are going to have success. So give yourself the best opportunity you can to do as much as you can, offense all the way. Since offense is so important, I wouldn't even bother building teams for defensive purposes until you have somewhere between 8 to 12 attack teams. Figure out how many attacks you normally can do in a war, and that's how many teams you want strictly for offense. As we continue to play the game, we're going to continue to acquire characters and continue to acquire teams. What I'm showing here is as we drop down team by team in my alliance save squads for war, the 12th team will represent my break between offense and defense. So everything above that line I'm going to use on offense, and the leftovers afterwards, my weaker teams, I'm going to use on defense. So essentially team number 12 right here is the Sinister Six with Dr. Octopus. So I would draw a line after them, from them down, those teams I would put on defense. Now don't copy what I'm doing here. This is dated information. Don't copy the teams verbatim. Essentially, as you progress and get stronger teams, your bigger and stronger teams will start pushing everyone down a spot or two. And so then when you push one of your lower offensive teams out of that 12th spot, that's going to become a defensive team. The purpose is to have teams available to knock out your opponents and get those alliance war credits. Each enemy defeated is also worth 1 point for your alliance, so knocking out a full squad of 5 is 5 points. Those credits are more in-game currency that you can use to unlock characters and acquire gear to make your account stronger. When you remove all the opposing characters in a room, that room is destroyed. Not only do you get points for each individual character that you knocked out, but once the room is destroyed, the alliance gets points according to the point value of the room. We see the bridge here is worth 200 points. It's really a good room to go after in the early game because your opponents may not be able to put up much resistance. Now, on the other hand, security here is only worth 50 points. But mind you, if you destroy the room, you also remove its bonuses, its buffs, its debuffs as well. In this case, security gives defense down to adjacent rooms. So although it's worth less points, it might be to your advantage to remove the defense down if it's going to make it more difficult for your teams to make progress. You might have to destroy a room like this to get to the higher value targets. Let's talk defense. When you're initially setting up your defense, you'll find a room like this that's unclaimed. Go ahead and set up shop there, either because that's what's available or that's the one your alliance leader assigns you to. Initially, it'll populate with the default shield team minions to protect it. As mentioned earlier, that's 100% fine. Go ahead and work on your offense first. As time goes on, you may have an extra character or two that you didn't use in your previous few wars. That's a good sign to start putting them on defense. You don't have to fill up the entire 5-person team. You can just put 1 person here or 2 people there and so on. Just make sure the characters that you choose are stronger than the minions that are already there. For example, putting a brand new level 1 character in a room doesn't help because they're weaker than the shield default team. The reason why this is important is because now your opponent has to bring in someone who's able to defeat that strong character who is stronger than the standard teams that have been there before. Eventually, you'll evolve into where you can place full teams, and that's where the defensive chess game begins. Try to come up with something that's just straight up difficult to beat, or something that has a few tricks, some characters that work very weirdly together that'll make your opponent have to think. Some characters in the game are built to shine in Alliance War, especially on defense. Note here Lady Sif. Her passive has a specific Alliance War defense ability. It also directly mentions other hero Asgardians. That indicates that there's probably other people on that team that are good for Alliance War defense as well. And in fact, Hero Asgard is an Alliance War defense team. Hey y'all, just want to give a shout out to bcl.arts on Instagram. They made my logo. Maybe they can make something for you too. Please go check them out. They're really good at putting fur babies on paper. They do other things well too, like anime. Support local business, support small business, support someone's dream. Thank you.